All right. Anybody else? Yes?
My question. First off, you still blogging? From your website?
Yes.
Blogging, you're still doing blogging?
You know, it's not a major focus for us. We do have very little activity when it comes to blogging for us, and it's not something that's a major focus for us right now. We have a very specific path for kind of our social engagement. For example, I would share that we have a 3-phase process in place. So the first phase was to create some kind of engagement for our website and our online and social presence through this kind of a campaign, and then our Facebook. But I wanted our second phase to include some kind of value add for our customers. So basically, we're building several programs around providing value for networking and interaction for our customers, where they will be blogging with each other about their experience and about, you know, what is important to them. And then the third phase is, of course, to create a lot more social engagement to position our products and services. That's the path we've been going on. So the blogging part hasn't really been a big focus for us. We're trying to move on a very specific path so that we do things in the right order. And that's just our organization. It could be different for anyone else.
I was going to say, that's the second portion to it, is it's kind of difficult really to move through that process. I've worked with a few banks and social media periodically, and I've also worked in the banking industry, but trying to move forward on things just because of compliance and fear constantly of negativity around everything that goes on.
Yeah.
It's difficult to control, so I just didn't show how far you are.
It was the kiss of death. It was the kiss of death. I mean, you're absolutely right. The compliance officers, no, you cannot, absolutely not do this and that. And we had to go to them and say, you know, we're trying to manage the risk. But at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is people will be heard. If you're not going to guide them a little bit, and the absence of information is invention, if you're not going to guide them to have a venue to speak positively about your organization, they'll find somebody else to listen to them, and they'll blog somewhere else. They'll share their experience, and they'll make sure everybody knows about it if you're not treating them correctly. So, it was one of those things, but we had to do a policy, which took months, and all kinds of things, and secure and, help encourage them. We're doing the right thing. Please trust us. We have these things in place. We have opt-out opportunities. We're not going to go off too far in the liberal, areas of social media. So it's been a task for us, but we're moving, in a very smart and as safe as we can. It's not easy. Yes.
With your success with this, are you going to try and do it again and see how many of the 6,000 you can retain compared to how many new users you can bring in? With obviously your knowledge and everything you've learned so far?
So that's a good question. So now you sound like our CEO. So the question for a lot of people inside our organization is, they don't really care. They're not impressed. Big deal. You launched the website. It took you a long time to do it. I got other things to worry about. They're going to be moved only by revenue. What's the impact on the organization and the bottom line? You're spending money. You're creating a buzz. That's nice. It makes me feel good. But how are you adding revenue to the institution? That's the bottom line, because that keeps us going. So what are you going to do on a going forward basis, which is kind of what you were saying. And part of the challenge for us is taking this good work and building it so that there's an opportunity for conversion, contact to conversion. So we've had contact, and now we want conversion. And that's the revenue piece. And for us, it's twofold. One, cost savings, because we know communicating electronically to an audience that is going to be interested in your message is going to raise the potential for conversion. That's one. That's more qualitative. But on a quantitative level, being able to communicate to them in a preferred manner based on limited time rates and information for them as a consumer that's perceived as valuable to them, that's how we can tell. And we can track now. We know who of that 48,000, if they convert, we're going to know they were on our list. And then we can come back and say, from a return on investment perspective, this group is part of our initial Join the Excitement launch group, and this percentage have converted at some point. That's how we'll be able to continue to really kind of implement this particular program. But there's wins and losses. I mean, there's good and bad. You know, you do something amazing and everybody's like, yeah, that's awesome. You get on, you know, one of the American Banker, you know, articles, and life is beautiful for a while, and then you have to replicate it. So you got to take some of the good things and you got to try them again. And sometimes it's a winner and sometimes it's not, but you keep it going. And there are things about this campaign that I would say are solid winners. And there are things that we've tried after it that haven't been such a success. And so we're balancing out what makes sense to our audience with our products and services. And I'm sure all of you do the same thing every day. Yes?
Are you using organic search marketing, SEO, and paid search as well? And do those play in that campaign, and/or are you using them good?
That is an excellent question. And I would say that we are not using those components yet, but we will be very robustly in the very near future. And as a matter of fact, we're in discussion right now over that very thing. It's something that we want to do properly, and it's something that we want to do carefully, and we want to plan it out carefully. The challenge for us is that maybe you have the same challenge too, but we have different divisions, different products and services and markets to serve, and we want to make sure we're listening to those people who own those product and service categories and those leaders, and we're bringing them along the evolution and the education of what we're trying to do at the same time, and that sometimes takes a little bit of work. So we have banking, insurance, investment, and wealth management, leadership, and product and service categories. And each one of those categories has somebody who has a budget and a specific vision for what they want to communicate. And so we're educating them. Many of those leaders in those specific line of business areas, they're not so technically savvy. They hear a buzzword here and there, and they're, you know, running after the vendor. Oh my God, search engine optimization and lead generation, and they're crazy. They want to spend a ton of money, and we have to reel them back in. Okay, what is it you want to do? What are you trying to accomplish? How much money do you have? Is this the right partner? And so having those dialogues while introducing what it is that we really want to encourage them to do has to be a partnership, and we're evolving over time. I've been with this organization 2.5 years, and I've had to work with my group to redevelop every single component of my department. And now we're getting into doing the right good things with search engine optimization. All right? Anybody else? Awesome. How are we doing on time? Good. So I'd like to ask a couple of questions of the audience, if I may. What do you think of this campaign? And maybe you might want to share a little bit about something that you've done that's similar. Yes.
A few years ago, we did a Christmas card where we told people, drove people back to a landing page, and then it was vote on these nonprofits for a donation.
Yeah.
And what we discovered was people got really irritated when there were losers. And so what we ended up doing was we split the donation up proportionate to the number of votes of everyone on the list. So everyone got something. And that still kept the kind of, I'm going to root for my team. Yeah. So.
We got a little bit of that too. We had just, not a lot, but we had a little bit, because there was one organization, and I do not have the name top of mind, but it was not your average mainstream nonprofit. But they won. They had the most votes, and people were grumbling, oh, no one cares about that carousel project. That's ridiculous. How can you be? And I said, look, you guys all had the same opportunity. You agreed to the terms. Do not be a sore loser. These guys won the money, and they probably needed it more than these other large organizations because they weren't going to get the funds elsewhere. So we had a little bit of it, but we let it go, and it didn't turn into anything substantial. Yes.
Were you able to limit for your form one vote per IP address or email address?
Yes, that's exactly what we did. Yep. There was a big question around that too. Oh, how many people are going to vote? Yeah. But we had some of that, but it wasn't as much as we thought we might get. So it was not bad. People were, for the most part, pretty honest. Anybody else? Any other campaigns like this?
Just following up on that question, you mentioned something about bad emails or what have you. So can you quantify out of that 8,000 how many were voting with a bad email?
Well, we do know that we had 80,000 that voted. We had 60,000 that were good. So 20,000 of those were emails that either were no longer active or that we could not confirm as good. So 20,000 was the number that we had.
That sounds high.
It does sound high, but I mean, when you think about what we were trying to do and what we had just talked about, people who were really probably going on to create an email address, maybe it was just for that time, they didn't want to have an active email address beyond that time. I think that's part of it. So I would say people were really trying to do whatever they could to support their institution, but that was our number. Actually, it was less than that. Let's see. Yeah. 48,000 is what we landed with, so over that. 12,000. And the rest were people who opted out, decided not to stay on our list and receive communications from us because obviously they didn't want to be solicited. So it's not too terrible. I mean, for what we were doing, I say, it's a good deal. It's 48,000 email addresses, or 48,000 people we no longer have to send direct mail to, and for us, that was a win. Yeah.
Do you have email addresses before? Were you already doing email marketing?
That's a good question, and no, we were not. So our institution being small and more of a community bank didn't practice collecting email addresses for a long time, partly because the compliance piece wasn't in place and they didn't have the policies and they didn't want to add that right away. So the challenge was the email addresses that we had for online banking was only a component or a small portion of people who were our customer base. And business banking folks, that only gave us one point of contact and not the organization or the employee base. So we didn't really have a good, our integrity for our email list didn't exist. So that was a challenge for us. But now we're rectifying that. All of our going forward campaigns and promotions include email collection.
Do you still do direct mail?
We do some direct mail, yep. There's still a place for direct mail. It's kind of like the brickandmortar.com conversation. You still want to include the new technology and best practice, but people still want to be touched sometimes in other ways. So we do direct mail, we just do it a little bit more carefully.
You send it, if you send them, if it was a newsletter per se, and you did it through email, would you as well send that individual hard copy?
Well, we may. Here's the scenario. So we just opened a branch in Albany, and we don't really know a lot of people in that community there. So we could do radio and an ad in the Times-Union, very expensive. And we also bought a 2-mile radius from that branch because we wanted to send out a, we're here in your community, here's our special rates. If you stop by on this date, you can enter to win blank. So we did that. So with 17,000 direct mail pieces, and it was the creation of the piece and the mailing of the piece took us several days to get it done and out the door. It cost us, I want to say, almost $7,000. And I couldn't tell you that it drove in a ton of people. So in that particular case, we don't have email addresses for that population, so that would be a challenge. But for customers, we might do a little bit of both.
There's kind of an implication there of allowing people to choose how they want to be communicated with.
Exactly.
Are you doing anything like that?
We are. We're asking people now. So every point of engagement with our customers, we're asking them, would you like to save paper? Would you like to save time? Is there an email address that you would prefer your statement sent to, your communication sent to? So we're engaged in that conversation now, and people appreciate that. They want choices. All right. I think we're good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.